You are listening to Blockchain Asia podcast hosted by Coco Key. She brings to you illuminating and inspiring thought leaders from Asia's blockchain and crypto ecosystem. This is the go-to show to understand Asia's impact on the innovation and uncover market opportunities. If you like the show, subscribe to it and tell your friends. Also subscribe to newsletter Blockchain Asia at Substack to stay informed.
Ioana, it was such a pleasure to get to know you earlier this month during NFT NYC. And since then, you've been to more conferences nonstop in different continents. I just can't wait to learn more about your trips. But before we do that, I want you to tell the audience about yourself. And I hope that you are recovering from the trips.
Thank you very much, Coco. It was great to meet you around FTNYC. We had an amazing dinner, great conversations, and thank you for inviting me on the podcast. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm fully recovered. I'm normally based in Brussels, but here I am in London for a few days of meetings and a reception at Westminster tomorrow, where we will be meeting a few MPs to discuss the crypto regulatory environment here in the UK and globally. A little bit about myself. I started my career in the European Parliament, where I was head of cabinet for one of the vice presidents of the largest political groups in the European Union, the European People's Party. I spent almost 10 years in the parliament doing a variety of things, but mostly being part of committees and structures that were handling EU innovation and also infrastructure investment, either via entities such as the European Investment Bank or the European Fund for Strategic Investments and others. So from the outset, I would say, even in a political environment, my focus was always innovation. And I then moved after 10 years. And I'm quite unique in that sense because most people want to stay in the European institutions. I was waiting to leave, basically, and I found the right opportunity, which was to head the government affairs team at Citigroup, the EMEA government affairs team with a focus on innovation. And once I started my job at Citi and I started interacting with all of the business lines within Citigroup, I realized that I wanted to get more involved on the business side, and I ended up rotating in the market and security services segment at Citigroup. It's a team, the innovation and the investment team from within that segment that focuses on fintech investments and interacting, collaborating with, and investing in innovative projects. And of course, as soon as I arrived there, I tried to push for more integration with crypto-related projects. It was very early on, 2018. What I liked about it is that, what we're seeing in development today, that hybridization of TradFi and DeFi, I was part of it from the outset because I had actually brought many of my colleagues at Citigroup in meetings and in contexts that had to do with many of the crypto projects that are now big, and they were just starting. From then on, you could already crystallize that hybridization and understand where these two ecosystems would meet. So I had a lot of fun doing that, but not enough, because after 4 years and a half, I decided to leave Citigroup. I basically created my own tech advisory firm and engaged in a portfolio career in crypto. I worked with a variety of projects. The projects that I'm currently working with, it's Domin network based out of Taiwan, with many angles in the wider Asian ecosystem. And I'm on the board of Crypto UK, which is the largest and most relevant trade body to support the crypto industry in the United Kingdom. I'm also on the board of the Multi-Chain Asset Managers Association, which is an association operating out of Switzerland. It's my third year on the board of MAMA, that's how we call it, supporting on-chain asset management projects mainly, but not exclusively. And Domin, let's think of it as decentralized commerce and Web 2, Web 3 hybridization platform for consumer data. It's just a simplistic way to describe it. I'll get into more details as we progress with the conversation.
Sure. So you have been doing a lot of things from the government, then Citigroup,
Correct.
and then your own advisory company. When did you start to get to know crypto and you just realized this is something innovative and worthwhile focusing on?
Honestly, I got interested in crypto after reading the Wired article about Silk Road. I don't remember if it was 2015 or 2016. I remember still being in the European Parliament, and I was fascinated. I understood that we can create a completely different social fabric and engage all sorts of people that might not necessarily be palatable in traditional environments, but they are extremely smart and creative and innovative. So I thought of crypto initially as a reflection of the internet economy, but via a behavioral stance. So people who grew up within the internet ecosystem, they behave differently than the older generations, including myself. I consider myself as part of the older generation. And I think crypto is a reflection of that from an economic perspective, also behavioral angle, and the emergence of a new type of persona that dismisses all pre-existing social standards. I was so fascinated by that. Right before I left the European Parliament, I was part of a team of people that pushed the European Parliament research services to come up with a report on virtual currencies. That happened right before I left and joined Citigroup. So that was the initial fascination. Then I joined a global financial institution, and there, once you learn the inner workings and get accustomed at a very deep level with the clients and the services, you start to think, okay, how can we push optimizing all of these services to the limit, that the limit is supported by blockchain and crypto and everything that this technology offers. And so it was organic in a way. I said, okay, what's the most innovative thing in financial services right now? It's crypto. So I just became, I was known as a crypto person within Citi, not just myself, but we were a handful of people. All of us are still in crypto, either in the industry or within TradFi dealing with crypto. Again, I always test the frontier of everything that I do. And in financial services, the frontier was crypto in various formats. That's how I got into crypto, via the Silk Road.
Amazing. I know, because I always ask the same question to different people that I interviewed, and the things that led them into crypto all very different. And yours is very unique. Just reading the article about Silk Road, which should be like something very negative, right, about the industry.
I know.
But it really just pulled you into it, and you dig
completely
deeper
did.
and deeper. In Citigroup, you were, encouraging or pushing for the company to move into or integrate crypto into the financial services. How was the reception in those early days?
It depends. No, all the people that I've worked with, in relation or not in relation to crypto, are extremely smart. The reception varied across business lines. You've been in Strat for longer than I have, I think, so you have an even better understanding of that ecosystem. People in TradFi tend to think in terms of quarterly revenues, optimization, and swift success. Crypto at the time, 2017, 2018, was not offering that. Today, we can talk about symbiotic relationships between TradFi and not just DeFi, various aspects or angles related to crypto. It was not the case back then. And even though I remember people being extremely open-minded about crypto and extremely interested, of course, we had the crypto degens, as I like to still call them, within the firm. And there's some of them are still there, myself included. I'm not there, but I was a crypto degen, still am. The reception varied across sectors. I would say the payments services former colleagues were not as receptive. They could see the danger of not necessarily being replaced, but the danger of potential or semi-chaos that crypto would bring to payment services, especially retail. On the wholesale side, the perception was different, because it is still very much, or it's still, especially at that time, it was a retail driven industry, crypto, right? So the wholesale folks were always calm, which was good on the one hand, but also bad, because they didn't feel the need to take a little bit of risk and try to engage with crypto projects. So payments, I would say, were the most regressive in terms of embracing crypto or trying to identify means of cooperation. Markets, it was a different story because even at the time, there were many crypto, well, let's call them blockchain infrastructure projects that could offer optimization across market cycles in traditional finance. And those were of interest. So if you came up with a solution, or if you came up with a project that would offer optimization in the traditional life cycle on the market side, there was interest. But the interest is not enough. You need to pass compliance, legal, the hurdle of bureaucracy, all inherent in the operational side of a huge institution. So even though there was interest, again, filtered based on various business lines, it was very hard to enable a meaningful collaborations with crypto. And I believe, unfortunately, of course, a lot has changed, but it's still the case today. So I think that there are many sophisticated things that can be achieved, or many sophisticated integrations that could be achieved between TradFi and the wider crypto realm, but they're not happening. Let's hope for the best.
One thing that I noticed, some of BlackRock, which is huge
Yeah.
financial institutions, and they got into tokenization of their mutual fund, which is, I would say, courageous, and it probably will open the eye for other financial institutions to dip their toe into the crypto and blockchain industry. I feel encouraged about that project, although not a huge one, but still.
I completely agree. And tokenization was the only acceptable discussion opener back in 2017, 2018, because it's not a new trend. People were talking about tokenizing cash. I remember seeing many tokenized cash projects, cash tokenization projects back in the day. It's something that comes naturally. It's about optimization. When I think of more sophisticated things, I say, let's integrate to staking, restaking, liquid restaking. Let's integrate entities like Citigroup, JPM, Goldman, and others into those sorts of environments. And then I will say, yes, we're on the right path. And something that I've learned working at Citigroup, and I think it applies across the board. BlackRock is a huge client for most global banks. The moment one of your biggest clients gets interested in crypto seriously, then you shift your attitude, because obviously you want to be able to service your biggest clients, and then you adapt to their needs and their ever-changing profiles. Actually, the example that you gave is a very relevant one also from this perspective.
I'm surprised that European Parliament was quite progressive and receptive to cryptocurrency. When you were there, you pushed them to do research, and they start to look into that.
A research report doesn't mean that much, to be honest. It's just a chance for the research team within an institution to show their following trends. But I do agree with you 100%. It was very progressive. Back 2016, none of the European institutions had done that, let alone other institutions in other parts of the world. So I completely agree with you. So I think the European Commission, which is the issuer of legislation, they had a team also back in the day that was extremely progressive in terms of crypto, because the EU always prides itself with the fact that we are the global leader in regulation. But at one point, I don't know if the institutions themselves feel that maybe we should also try becoming a global leader in something else. But there's definitely pressure from the industry across all segments to also try to become a leader in terms of business promotion and innovation and investment. So the regulatory crown is good, but it becomes stale at one point, boring. And so there was a team of people within the European Commission, extremely progressive. They really they saw the blockchain industry and crypto as a means to push forward, to try to redesign the face of the EU on the global scene in terms of it being progressive towards something, a new industry segment, right? But I don't think that initial ethos is what we find in the markets in crypto assets regulation. It's great that we have it. It provides a lot of clarity, especially for larger players in crypto. But I don't think it has achieved that much in an attempt to push the EU away from just being a global leader in regulation and into something else. I mean, it's still about the regulation, right? The EU is still mostly about regulations. I don't see any project rushing to get a license in the EU, especially the smaller, innovative ones, unless they have to. So the quest is for other jurisdictions. It's easier to integrate there. I am European. I live there. I'm proud of Mika in a sense, but I think there's a lot more that we can do.
So let's switch gear. Then why did you look to Asia? When did you decide to join Domin Network? What does Asia excite you?
I met the team at Domin, the co-founder Boyan and Jason, when they had joined the Outlier Ventures Basecamp. It was the Polygon cohort. They provide a middleware tech between the blockchain and the application layer. It was not the tech per se. There were other projects that were doing that at the time. But the fact that the tech allows for a seamless migration from on-chain worlds into IRL or real worlds and back, and the ability to onboard and analyze all sorts of behaviors from off-chain and on-chain environments and use it for commerce, I thought that was extremely interesting. And I didn't know of any project, I still don't, that does this at scale. I liked the team from the outset, and I became their mentor, and I followed their progression. We stayed in touch. I was an advisor for a while, and after 1 year, we collectively decided for me to join as chief strategy officer. And I'm also building the Domin Foundation, which is going to be a wider platform encompassing everything that we do, because we do many things. We will get into that later. What fascinates me about Asian jurisdictions in general and the Asian culture in crypto, it's extremely streamlined. Having worked with the team for almost 4 months now as part of the core team, I can say that everything gets done extremely fast. And the mentality is to just have an idea. If it's implementable, let's filter it extremely fast and see if it works and start to build it. I love the dynamic of working with, based on what I've seen, I think it happens across the board. And I like that. It's just a different mentality. Whereas in Europe, you can have a great idea, and many people do. Social culture is that let's test it and retest it and triple test it, which is good. I mean, we also test it here at Domin, but then the pace is slower. It's a difference in approach to implementation, which I absolutely love in Asia. We are global, and part of my role is to expand what we do in Europe and potentially also in the US. I'm trying to bring that ethos into European contexts.
I have the same observation. I feel that Asians don't sleep. They just move fast. Back to Domin, it used to be called Redreamer Lab and
Correct.
rebranded. Is it built on Ethereum or Polygon?
So it was initially built on Polygon, but we don't have our own system yet. So we haven't created our own blockchain, but we might. But it doesn't just support EVMs. It can be built on top of L1s, L2s, not just Ethereum, obviously, not just EVM compatible. So we can support many ecosystems. Think of it of a commerce abstraction layer, and this has come from my colleague Boyu, and I told him I would give him credit for that. Yeah, it's a commerce abstraction layer that can be built on top of any infrastructure to be able to support easy onboarding of brands and consumer data. And correct, Redreamer Lab was the initial name. The lab still exists. It's the technical outpost where all the technical stuff is being developed, but we're expanding beyond that. The foundation, which I will be in charge of, the Domin Foundation, will cater for the token launch. We will launch our token also for the Commerce Plus Alliance, which aims to bring partners from both Web 2 and Web 3 ecosystems, from gaming, fashion, luxury. That will be part of the foundation as well. And all of the other projects that we will develop will be encapsulated in Domin Foundation. Redreamer still exists. It's where we have created our Redeem protocol and the new NFT standard. Back in the days, this is where our technical team works relentlessly to come up with whatever tech solution we need to support the clients that we will be engaging with.
Where is the foundation based, and when do you think the foundation will be launched and the token?
Redreamer and Domin now is based out of Taiwan. We also have a representation in Hong Kong. And we're now choosing the jurisdiction for the Domin Foundation. Disclosed that we're looking very closely at Dubai and Japan. The token launch would be in that jurisdiction that we will decide on. Based on what I've seen in Dubai, even flooded, it still transpired that they are serious, not just Dubai, the whole region. They're very serious about investing substantial capital in innovation, and mostly crypto and AI.
You were trying to pick between Dubai and Japan in the near
Yes.
future. You make a decision. A lot of foundations actually were built or headquartered in Switzerland before. Dubai or Japan, what's most attractive to you?
I'm not as familiar with Japan as a jurisdiction, but I do know that there's a lot of interest in crypto on the retail side. I would say 50-50 retail side and institutional. And also, Japan is a jurisdiction that exudes fashion and gaming. These are two sectors that we're focused on. So you have like pro crypto stance plus an organic gaming and fashion environment. These are the filters for Japan. For Dubai, many projects gravitate towards Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and outside of the UAE, close by to Saudi Arabia, because there's capital at disposal and willingness to insert that capital into crypto. I would say that maybe not as fast as in Japan or Singapore, Taiwan or Hong Kong. There's the willingness to move swiftly in the UAE and Saudi in order to create the right frameworks to ensure that the projects that come and want that capital are able to benefit from it and also become local. I think they're extremely smart from that perspective, that most of the projects or most of the entities that support crypto projects from around the world, one of the prerequisites is for the projects to be operating out of there, either UAE or Saudi. Progressive regulatory environment for crypto, a lot of capital floating around, and the creation of a consolidated ecosystem. Like I said, many crypto projects migrate towards UAE and Saudi, and they stay there in order to benefit from the capital. That's what we oscillate with and try to make a decision on. And UAE is known for its propensity towards luxury industries. That's another segment that we are looking to support via our tech. These are the two jurisdictions that we're looking at for our token launch and for our foundation headquarters.
Give me some idea or example how they connect the real world commerce with the blockchain. Is there any real world use cases and can they generate some revenue?
Yes, of course. So what we do via the tech is we seamlessly enable the data verification and authentication. For instance, if you hold an NFT and there's a physical analog tied to that NFT, via the tech, even with a QR code, you can easily be recognized as the owner of that NFT and as the rightful owner of whatever physical object you're entitled to. That's just a very simple example. We have the Hong Kong Pass, which is a pass that was redeemable in the sandbox for the Hong Kong Blockchain Week. Those in possession of the NFT that was redeemed via the Domin-enabled tech were able to benefit from real-world perks, such as discounts on Ubers or taxis or discounts at restaurants or accessing all sorts of physical places. And what this enables is the migration of those behaviors. You all of a sudden have the ability to collect the data that the consumer generates operating offline via the NFT or whatever Web3 tool you can do with. For now, it is NFT. You collect it and bring it on chain. You also collect behaviors. You do that with the on-chain behavior, then move it into off-chain environments. And brands love understanding how their consumers operate in both off-chain and on-chain worlds. That migration of data is really valuable. We had the Hong Kong Pass and the Uni Pass, which allowed for a variety of brands to operate collectively and to interchange in an open network environment in a very short time frame. We do that also at festivals or any other type of event that attracts a multitude of brands. And then we had the Ultraman. So if you owned an Ultraman in a digital format, you could redeem a physical one. We have created that for a variety of collectibles and thus have enabled digital experiences. I'm currently looking at gaming, not just me, the whole team. If you think of ways that we can integrate with gaming, think of all of the value created in games. Web 2, they don't even have to be Web 3. Let's use Brawl Stars because my daughter and all of her friends play Brawl Stars. If you have a Brawl Stars skin or a blue in a Web 3 type of format, be it NFT or other, you can have it on your phone, and with the attached QR code, you can go to a store and use it on a POS machine to pay for something, for instance, or on a vending machine, which is something that we already do in Asia. This is what we're currently focusing on, integrating in games and enabling that in-game value creation to have a very seamless physical correspondent, and also for fashion and luxury. We've recently seen LVMH come up with a new NFT collection. That's exactly what we are designed to do. If you have the NFT, you just go into Louis Vuitton store, very easily authenticate yourself and redeem whatever you're entitled to redeem. And meanwhile, we collect that data and provide it to LVMH in a cryptographic format. So they won't know personalized data about the consumer and the customer, but they would know behavior, behavioral patterns, and all sorts of other things that they can utilize to further enhance the relationship between the brand and the consumer.
When you say behavior data, what does it mean? Can you elaborate?
It's a combination of features that would allow the brand to better understand the profile of the customer, behavioral in the sense of what the preferences are.
Mark Bauman of 50 Ventures posted on LinkedIn right after NFT NYC. One of his conclusions is, let me quote him, NFTs didn't work for brands. As we are entering a new phase of Web3 maturity, the idea of Web3 for consumer brand is being rethought and will require a more holistic approach, unquote. Do you agree his conclusion?
First of all, everyone is entitled to their opinion. The comment is a little bit generic. I'm not saying that NFTs as a concept are the ultimate tool that is representative of Web3 interaction with Web2 environments. It's just one format. This is how we started, but there will be additional iterations. And I completely disagree that NFTs do not work for brands. To combine on-chain worlds with off-chain worlds is a big achievement. And we have created that initially via NFTs, but it's not only going to be via NFTs. All of the NFT collections, I don't think they worked necessarily because they didn't have the tech that we provide, which is to allow for a deeper understanding of what the communities that you offer the NFTs to actually want from that engagement. It was all about generating swift yields. It all happened during the bull market. Everyone was excited. Everyone thought this is a great trend. You had to be a part of it in a way. I agree that it could have been better. We're maturing. This is what we are doing at Domin. We're offering the ability for that data migration from one environment to the other to better understand that relationship between the brand and the consumer and how a consumer operates on chain and what the demands are when operating off chain. NFTs were the first iteration of a new, more democratic and cooler tool via which brands can access Web3 environments. LVMH just launched a new NFT collection. So the interest is still there, and the ability to cater to a new generation of consumers is still there. The new generations don't operate within the same parameters that I did. Web3 is very much the way forward for those people. Everyone wants to have access and generate yield, and Web3 is the best environment in which you can generate yield and have ownership, preserve your privacy, or generate revenue if you sell your data. It's a new environment. It's a new type of internet economy, and Web2 brands want to be a part of it, and they have to do it via Web3 tools. NFTs are not dead, and it's not just about NFTs.
What Domin is doing is manifestation of what technology can bring to this new concept and make it better to identify more applications
Mhm.
in the real world and connecting with the blockchain. I can't wait to learn more about your travels in the
My
three
travel. Okay.
continents. And tell me about what you observed in those three continents, in addition to all the natural disasters like earthquake and flood.
So yeah, aside from the natural disasters, I was part of events in three different continents within the span of 3 weeks or even less. NFT NYC, I'm trying to find the right words to describe the atmosphere around it. I met you, which was great, at a side event. The exclusive NFT focus will not work anymore. That's my personal opinion. The people behind the event are extremely smart. They were extremely progressive and still are. And they created this event, which is a landmark. It's a known event in the industry, but they need to open it up or tweak it a little bit to be able to insert other tech developments aside from NFTs. I've been speaking at NFT NYC continuously since 2022. This year, I didn't recognize the event almost. There needs to be some change. To me, it's very surprising because New York is the most vibrant city I know. I would have expected it to be almost an organic, a symbiotic relationship with crypto and everything that crypto entails from both a behavioral, economic, financial perspective, everything. And that's just not the case compared to even Europe, which is not the most vibrant place for crypto. Europe looks like the most progressive jurisdiction on crypto compared to the US and especially to New York, which is surprising for me to see.
I guess most of the reason comes down to the organization, how they
It's also true.
structure this. They have to rethink
And
and come up with a new way of organizing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and also since you mentioned it now, I realized another thing. NFTs were initially the focus was all on artists and the creatives. That's still there, but it's not just that. You need to be able to absorb other developments related to NFTs that move beyond just creative types and the artists, which are great, don't get me wrong, but if you narrow it down that much, it's not sustainable. It's also a refocus on the core of the attendees and the speaker lineup, I guess.
How about Paris Blockchain Week and Dubai? Out of the three, I know NFT NYC is out. How about the Paris and Dubai? At least Paris is a nice place to be.
New York too. I mean, I absolutely love New York. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. I know you know New York inside and out
I love
because
it too.
Paris Blockchain Week, I was there for 1 day and a half. It was extremely vibrant. So I would say that coming back from the ghostly NFT NYC, as you correctly categorized it, it felt vibrant, dynamic. There were many people that had come from across the world. I attended a few events, including a traditional event, a MasterCard event on crypto in the Eiffel Tower, which was great, and the Circle Forum. There was a different atmosphere. You could at least sense that there's the willingness to still invest in crypto and to forge new types of collaborations. It was different. I didn't attend panels, and Dubai, the floods affected the whole conference because many of the events were scattered across the city and roads were blocked. Many people were incapacitated in terms of even getting to their hotel the first night they arrived there. I was stuck for 7 hours at the airport before I could get a taxi out because drivers were not willing to go to all parts of the city because they didn't know whether or not their car could actually pass through some areas because of the water. I would say that there was disruption, especially when it came to the side events, but I still managed to attend quite a few interesting ones. And going back to what you were asking me about the Asian communities and how Asians develop crypto, many Asian projects, I could say that they were dominating all of the events that I attended, which was actually great to see. In terms of what I saw and the trends that come out when you attend all of these events, a lot of focus obviously on RWAs, deepin, building on the Bitcoin network. Aside from the ordinals, now there's runes. I saw many projects exclusively building on Bitcoin and huge focus on AI. I would say that this is the major focus of every single entity in the UAE, ensuring that all relevant AI projects gravitate towards that region. I would say even more predominant than crypto.
AI standalone or AI combined with blockchain and Web3?
Not necessarily. AI as a concept, but then again, for a successful AI, you need to ensure that the data that the AI is trained with is the right type of data. So this is where Web3 and crypto come into place, because you have the ability to filter the data, you have the ability to ensure that there's some yield to be generated by the data that is being fed to the algorithms. A combination, I would say, but AI is the focus. And if all of the other elements are part of it, then even better.
I always wonder whether AI is competing for talents, for example, developers and capital away from the blockchain and crypto Web3.
Not really, because like you said, the optimal use case is the one where you combine AI and Web3 because of all of the things that we both just said. Obviously, there are different coding models and developer languages. I don't think that developers are migrating. Trend seekers are. You see so-called experts in blockchain and crypto that have moved to AI and now back because we were on the cusps of a bull market again. The core technical teams, they're working to bring the two together as opposed to migrating from one another.
Wow, we have covered so many grounds and a lot of things that you shared. It's so
I'm
interesting.
happy to
Very
hear.
different perspective from Europe, from Asia. I hope there will be some exciting events to bring you back to New York. Not NFT NYC, I know, but something else.
I feel so bad, but we also have to be realistic and open.
They need to have feedback. It's not just you who had this feedback. Some other people told me that last year they came and then they stopped coming. So not just you. I hope that they listen to this podcast and make it better.
Take it forward.
I hope to stay in touch and really love to learn more about Domin Networks Foundation and Token and other progress. Before we close, how can audience find you on social media?
So on LinkedIn, Ioana via my name, and on Twitter, I'm on @CryptoShover. I used to say I'm shoving crypto down people's throats all the time, and someone said, "Why don't you just call yourself Crypto Shover?" And I did. I might change it.
I love this. Keep it. Thank you so much for coming, and good to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to coming back to New York and welcoming you to Europe whenever you want to come.
Stay well.
Stay well.
Bye-bye.
Bye.